All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today I'm about something that could be massive for crypto, okay? And this is all unfolding right before our eyes. We're seeing some statements come out at the U.S. Central Bank meeting right now that could have major implications for what happens to the future of crypto, maybe even soon on the grand scheme of things, all right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at a lot of other news updates that have happened in this space since our live stream we did yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to check on some of the crypto markets, answer some of your questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice for you. And there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below and in the chat. Like, just ignore them. Why on earth would I ever give you my phone number on YouTube or ask you to invest with me? It's not going to happen. Never going to DM you on Twitter or any other social network to try to, get you to give me money. So, we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, David Stone, Camille, Robert, Alden, Martin, Daryl, Dave, Natasha. Welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about something that could be pretty big for crypto if this is something that actually transpires, okay? And this is all coming out from comments from the meeting with the U.S. Central Bank, okay? That could have pretty big implications on crypto. We're actually going to look at a couple different things because as I was just, about to hit record on my live stream software this morning, I'm seeing more statements come out of this meeting. So this is all happening right now, and you're kind of getting this, live sort of raw commentary on what's happening. So let's start with the first comment that I saw come out this morning, which is from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. All right, so if you don't really get how the central bank of the United States fits into the broader picture of crypto, there's a couple different ways in which that's true. Okay, I'll just kind of connect the dots here because if you're brand new to crypto, it is a confusing landscape. You have to know about a lot of stuff, especially if you're trying to get into the technicals out of things. If you want to understand the micro, and then you also want to understand the big picture, which is sort of the macro view of why do we even need crypto in the first place? How does it function in society? And then all the way down to actually coding, which is also what I teach on this channel. So there's like a fire hose you're trying to drink out of. But let me help sort of paint this picture, which is. There are two big ways in which, we have three big ways in which the central bank has a strong role in what's happening to crypto. Number one is, what we've seen with sort of the loose monetary policy about printing money, okay, and crypto being a strong answer to that, especially with Bitcoin as a store of value. Whole idea is, there's a lot of people that are worried with the amount of money that's been created or fiat currency that's been created over the past couple of years about what that's just going to do to the value of your currency and, a flee towards assets and particularly safe haven assets. Bitcoin has been, a strong narrative as a store of value to help against this type of inflation. The other is sort of a check against, it is decentralized, whereas the central bank is very centralized. So it's sort of like a checking and power in that way. And then the last way, in which the central bank has a pretty big influence over what's going on in the crypto space is regulations, okay? Because, I'm a realist. Put it this way. I think crypto can exist just fine without regulations, but I'm also a realist and understand that they are coming. And, comments that come out of central bank about regulations are going to have a strong impact on what happens to the future of crypto, okay? So that's what I want to hone in on right now, which is a comment that came out this morning. So Treasury's Yellen, stablecoins can result in some greater efficiencies, could contribute to easier payments, but only if adequately regulated. Okay, so and I'm seeing that across multiple sites here. I haven't watched this meeting. I've just watched some of the transcripts that have come out. So why is this important? Why is this such a big deal? Okay, so some people will get into crypto and say hey, what are the actual use cases for this stuff? I mean, that's actually becoming less and less of a common question these days for people who have been in crypto for a while. That was a super common question, 2018, 2017. But let's talk about a dead simple use case that actually can really help mass adoption of blockchain technology. Not just talking about collecting NFTs, not just talking about speculating on the Bitcoin price, but an actual benefit that you get from using blockchain technology, and that's stablecoins, okay? And it's a really boring use case, but it's actually a use case that can really improve the financial system that we have today. So essentially, how is that possible? So stablecoins are essentially just a cryptocurrency's price doesn't change that function as a smart contract that help transfer value, stable value between two different parties. And they're programmable, okay? You can write apps that integrate with them natively. And you might say, well, you can do that with Stripe, you can do that with all these other things, but not on the same level. And there's other benefits, which is the name of the game in technology is better, faster, cheaper. Stablecoins have the potential to be all of that, and they are, depending on what you are using, okay, and what you compare it to. So, if you think about like a wire transfer, for example. So if you were to go to a bank and wire money, maybe you've bought a car, bought a house, whatever it is, maybe you have to transfer some large amount of money. You might see there's this hefty fee, and then it takes a long time for you to actually settle the wire transfer and then make sure it was received by the right person. And part of that's because of like all the fat that has to go through in a wire transfer. I think it's insane, right? Like or ACH transfers, automatic clearinghouse. I mean, there's a lot of old technology under the hood when you're actually doing these things that are slow and expensive, and even more so than blockchains, okay? So stablecoins have the potential to speed up a lot of that, all right? And so that's actually what we're seeing from this comment here. Let's see, pull it up here. Stablecoins can result in some greater efficiencies, could contribute to easier payments, but only if adequately regulated, all right? So that's an admission that this technology has a lot of benefit. And now some people say, well, duh, like we know that. But an admission on this level is actually a really good thing, all right? It's good for crypto because it's an acknowledgement of the potential of this technology by, certain parties that there's a big question mark around, okay? And so we're starting to see some, lean in a favorable direction for crypto, which is really good because one of the biggest problems with crypto has been uncertainty. But what do you all think about this? What do you plan to do about regulations? And then here we see that sort of segue here, which is this is really good technology, has a lot of benefits, but only if properly regulated. And that's been one of the biggest fears around crypto regulations is like, hey, what's going to get regulated? A lot of people have fears about stable coins being like, early unregulated banks that can basically issue money, but don't necessarily have backing behind the actual money itself. Because that's the only idea with a stable coin is you have a cryptocurrency that you say is worth $1, and basically the whole point is someone can come to you and purchase that from the issuer because somebody issues a stable coin. They're centralized in this way. Or you have a decentralized one and the issuer is a smart contract. But anyway, the whole idea is there's somewhere where you can go to buy the stable coin with some other asset and then redeem it back for the exact same value that you bought it. And that everybody who does that can all do it at once without having some sort of bank run, like you did with early banks that essentially were a big part of the big crash that preceded the Great Depression and also preceded the creation of the central bank in the first place, okay? And then we see practices like fractional reserve banking come into play, all that type of stuff, right? So basically the whole idea is we don't want to repeat all that over and over and over again, and we want to make sure that stable coins have the money they say that they're have, all right? So we don't have a bank run. And also the other thing is that we don't have all this just, printed, currency in circulation as well. So that's the fear on stable coins, and they're saying, hey, we realize that this can be a good thing if properly regulated, and so that's where we'd likely see some crypto regulations. And so I know I'm kind of going long on this topic, but it's kind of a deep one, and I think it's really important for you to understand all the angles on this. The other thing I want to talk about is a thread that I saw on Reddit before. Maybe I'll make another video about this. Around crypto regulations here. So the most important piece of regulation on cryptocurrencies in the world thus far has arrived. I read all through 405 pages of the proposal for EU regulation on markets and crypto assets. And so he added some highlights here about the things that they are talking about regulating. So basically talking about how they would skip things like non-fungible tokens, things where you can trade, where, you know, different members of the collection are not worth the same. They would skip that, so NFTs wouldn't be regulated. Utility tokens that actually, like cryptocurrencies that have some use inside of an ecosystem, they would skip that. Basically, crypto assets that are offered for free. So, like if you just, you know, given the cryptocurrency, no regulations, and then assets that are automatically created, et cetera, et cetera. But here's one that pops up, which is very coherent with the attitude that we're seeing from central bank today in the United States, which is e-money or stablecoins, very strict regulations. Okay, so this mirrors what I'm talking about. I think a lot of people have the biggest fear I think the central banks have is essentially, you know, a clash of power and its risk, right? Like, you know, you don't want somebody to create an alternative currency that they can just have full control over, that a lot of people start adopting and using, right? And just like creating as much as they want to, having people, you know, try to withdraw and cash back out of that thing, and it just crashes and goes to zero and people lose all their money. So very strict regulations from stablecoins. We're seeing this repeated over and over and over again. So anyways, I'll go through this report in a little more detail, but definitely check on that. I'll put that video out whenever it comes out, or you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, you'll find about that video when it comes out. All right, so I know I've kind of gone long on this topic this morning. But let's look at a couple other things here. So this is basically DeFi over traditional banking. In the long run, I think so. I mean, right now, DeFi definitely has, you know, some warts. So it definitely leaves some things to be desired. Okay. Yeah. Somebody says, why don't I make coding videos anymore? Hey, did you check out the video that came out yesterday? That's a coding video. Okay, so let's look at a couple other things. I saw this tweet come out as part of a transcript. I don't know if it's true, but it's a central bank digital currency paper coming out very soon, within weeks. All right, so that's another aspect of the conversation around stablecoins and regulations. Part of it, like I was saying, is like you're trying to regulate something that is potentially a threat to you. And you don't see, no, we don't care about all this other stuff. We don't care about NFTs. We don't care about utility tokens. But e-money, a stablecoin, that sounds suspiciously like what we do. You know what I mean? So it's like we want to add some regulations around that. And then basically, well, what's your answer to that? Well, CBDC, central bank digital currency. So that second transcript, like I said, talking about this, that the CBDC coming out. I haven't verified the source on that. That's just a tweet that I saw coming across my desk here. Okay, so let's take a look at crypto markets actually, real quick. So things are looking pretty strong in some of the majors, in my opinion. It's so funny. I'm seeing such a mix of sentiment online. Some people are saying like, "Hey, you know, the top is in. You know, everything's tired," or like we're gonna have one more push, and then we're gonna enter some massive bear market. I don't know. It's just like, if you've been following this space for a long time, like we've had so many people just post so many bad takes at different times. You know, it's a lot of it's just noise right now. So anyways, one thing I do want to pay attention to, because again, I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are also looking relatively strong right now in terms of you know, holding up from some of the corrections that we've seen, right? Like, you know, my my opinion, my bias, my outlook on this, because that's really what you have on these markets. Nobody perfectly knows the future, and so you have to make a thesis based upon a really strong, educated guess, essentially, from how you think the market works. So my bias here, of course, is that we're on a continued trend upward because of the adoption that we're seeing in the crypto space. That's not slowing down anytime soon. And my thesis is always, as you build the technology that's actually useful and gains network effect adoption, that the value can actually accrue to cryptocurrencies itself, particularly in an exponential way. I think we're seeing that reflected in the cryptocurrency prices. So, I mean, with Bitcoin, this looks a lot like the last thing we just did. I think it supports... This is where we're headed. I think it's highly unlikely that we're going to just nuke downward from here in the Bitcoin price. And it actually is likely, in my opinion, that the crypto markets are primed for the next leg up, okay? I don't know what that leg up is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be a blow off top. I don't know if it's just going to be, another push to an all-time high, like a new all-time high. Maybe we see some resistance before we get there. But my bias is definitely up. It's not down. It's not sideways. But one thing I do want to draw attention to inside of here is the Ethereum price, particularly the ETH to BTC ratio, because Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin, with the exception of this little blow up right here. Let's see here. That was pretty early. Let's see here. We're pushing up. We're trying to get a new all-time high on Ether. All right, we're getting close. All right, we got 4,740. All-time high was 4,878. It looks like we're really trying to push up for a new one. And that's before, Bitcoin is trying to make a new all-time high is what it looks like. So one thing I draw attention to is the ETH to BTC ratio. Basically, this compares the Ethereum price to Bitcoin price. All right. And we're seeing the ETH to BTC ratio is about to make a new, let me just see here, high for the year, okay? And this is important because basically this means that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and it's outperforming a lot of other things. And so why is this? Well, it's hard to know exactly why. But as I was saying before, my thesis on the channel is always about creating technology that actually has a lot of usefulness and benefits, and where you can use cryptocurrency in those ecosystems and the value accrues to those. That's really what's happening with ETH. I mean, we're seeing an insane amount of adoption on the Ethereum network. I know people say Ethereum's too slow, it's too expensive to use. Sure, they get likes and clicks for all that type of stuff. Well, some people, it's true though, right? Like it's true. It's true. So, but there's an answer to that. The whole point is that it's not just going to be that forever, right? Like we have layer 2 solutions that are working now, and new ones coming on scene all the time that have a ton of promise for the future. Of course, Ethereum 2.0 is being actively developed and should be here relatively soon in the grand scheme of things. So there's a bright future headed for Ethereum. I realize it's slow and expensive to use now. That's not Ethereum's final state. But drawing that back in, and I'm kind of a long-winded explanation here, but the whole point is Ethereum is very valuable. It's seeing insane adoption. We're burning ETH all the time. ETH issuance is going to fall off a cliff next year, whenever the merge happens. Okay, and so for that reason, ETH could very well flip something like Bitcoin because there's more you can do with it. You can stake ETH. You can use it in DeFi. You can use it to buy NFTs, pay for things, all that type of stuff. Send stablecoins around. And so Ethereum could flip Bitcoin and actually become the number one cryptocurrency by market cap on a website like CoinGecko.com, CoinMarketCap.com, and the ETH to BTC ratio tracks that. Okay, so we are at 0.08 and about to make a new all-time high for the year. All right, not a new all-time high ever. Right, that was here. Okay, but the important thing that a lot of traders are watching is what's happening to this pattern. So I'm not a big technical analyst, okay? I definitely try to stick more to the fundamentals. I don't always, try to divine the short-term future based on what a chart looks like. But I'm just going to tell you this. There's a lot of people that would do technical analysis that would have drawn a descending line right here, okay, to make a wedge. All right, I can't really even do it. I mean, like I said, I'm so bad at technical analysis that I don't even have a fully featured chart on here. But basically, you could draw a wedge with the tops, or a trend line basically with the tops just form a wedge. Okay, this is the, let's see here. This is like the minute, it's a minute chart. I don't care about that. Anyways, I'm not gonna waste time totally drawing on screen, but the whole point is it's broken out of a downtrend, all right? And it's about to hit some resistance here. And if it breaks up, we could see significant performance on ETH's part relative to Bitcoin. Now, of course, what we see here is those things don't always last forever. We could see some volatility for sure, but definitely something to watch out for. Keep an eye on the ETH to BTC ratio. So, speaking of ETH adoption, I did see this come out yesterday. So we have, I mean, it's talking about adoption. I mean, we see so much craziness. I mean, it's really becoming, we really are starting to break up into the mainstream culture. I mean, we have Budweiser beer is now beer.eth, okay, on their Twitter. So some new people to crypto, if you're brand new to these live streams, you take this kind of stuff for granted because this is a recent phenomenon. Like, if this had happened 2 years ago, like the price of ETH would have just like spiked up, in a day. But basically, we have Budweiser, major brand. Of course, not that many followers on the grand scheme of things for Twitter. Sporting this, like a .eth name, an ENS handle. Okay, so, yeah, I thought this is pretty good. I think this actually happened from a Twitter Spaces. Basically, you can get on Twitter and enter these little like Clubhouse-like conversation rooms. If you're not sure what the Clubhouse is, basically it's like a social media app where it's audio-based only, and you kind of wait your turn to talk, and you can sometimes talk to like really influential people or like listen to them talk. It's kind of like podcast style. Twitter implemented that with Twitter Spaces, and I believe some conversations went down inside of Twitter Spaces that had a quick adoption of beer.eth handle for the Budweiser account. But I do think ENS names are big long term. Somebody says ETH the escalating gas price until 2.0. Well, ETH 2.0 is not going to fix the gas prices. That's what layer 2 scaling solutions do. Somebody says, do I believe that a new technology will come in the future that will beat or replace blockchain? It depends on what you mean by that. Like that actually serves as a better function than blockchain, or do you mean something that threatens the existence of blockchain? One of the most common concerns about blockchain, like a systemic risk for blockchain technology is quantum computing. Basically, if you have a quantum computer, then you could, like blockchain and cryptocurrency is secured by cryptography. And if you have quantum computers, basically, they can crack the encryption that could give you access to wallets, all that type of stuff. And so people think that that's a threat, an existential threat to blockchain. The thing about it is quantum computing is not that advanced for people, put it this way, vast majority of people are not going to have access to that level of quantum computing anytime soon. That's a quick way of saying it. And even if they do, there's lots of other things that are massive risk. Okay, every internet password that you've ever used ever is now basically worthless against somebody who has that level of power. And then the other thing is, if we have that level of cryptography with quantum computers, then why can't we just use it to create quantum blockchains, basically? So, somebody says they're late. It's okay. Next time you're going to get a demerit. Somebody says quantum computing, forget about Bitcoin and start thinking about the nuclear codes. Yeah, that's another good way of putting it. Here's the thing. We don't know if certain people have access to quantum computers, right? And if they did, like, why would they use it to take down Bitcoin if they could use it for something else? Like, if you've got that level of power, you're not going to show your cards to take down blockchains. Not this phase in the game. This is loving the blockchain bootcamp so far. Awesome. So, I mean, we have quantum computers. Somebody says IBM does. But the whole point is, how sophisticated are they, and do they actually pose a threat, an existential threat to blockchains? The most likely answer is no for a vast majority of people who could potentially have that power. New airdrops to watch out for. I don't have any recommendations off the top of my head, any hot leads. The whole strategy there is basically using as much stuff as you possibly can afford to. Make transactions, actually, use the products. And that's it's sort of the spray and pray method. But you could make some good guesses. It's very possible that OpenSea could launch a token, that MetaMask could launch a token. Those are pretty big candidates. So that would basically look like either buying or selling an NFT on OpenSea, or maybe just using a MetaMask wallet. We don't exactly know how MetaMask would drop a token if they did, how they would calculate the, airdrop, or if you would basically just I don't know if you have to trade on MetaMask DEX. They have a swap feature into the wallet, or if you just have to make transactions. So one other thing I want to show is, I saw this morning. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Got to pull it up off my phone. So we did see this come up. I saw a screenshot of this floating around Twitter, but I actually did verify. I looked up the profile myself. So we talked about Jack Dorsey stepping down as CEO from Twitter. And it's actually a funny coincidence that somebody spotted this right after the change. So we now have the ability to send to an Ethereum address inside the Twitter app. So this is actually a screenshot that I took this morning that verified that it actually works. I haven't used it, but I see the feature's actually there. So, Twitter integrated basically a tipping option where you can tip people, and you can do it with Venmo. It's funny that you can't do it with Cash App. I'm just realizing that now. That's Jack Dorsey's other company. You tip it with Venmo, you can tip it with Bitcoin, and now you can tip it with Ethereum. All right. So Jack was a big Bitcoin guy, didn't like Ethereum very much. And now we're saying Ethereum addresses supported in Twitter the day that he's gone. Somebody says not true, can tip with Cash App. Okay, gotcha. Awesome. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it looks at apps that are on your phone or something like that. I don't have Cash App. And maybe all the things that I'm saying are just sheer coincidence. Somebody says, didn't see the ETH option, only Bitcoin. This could be also an early feature where they like roll out different, different options to different users. Sometimes it happens. You have a new feature roll out, they just A/B test stuff, or maybe they do a limited release to certain accounts. Who knows? Maybe Twitter's really good at collecting data, and then they just like, follow you with cookies and realize that, hey, this person's a Ethereum user. We've tracked their Ethereum transactions, or like we've somebody has a Twitter ads tracking script on their site, and they also connect to MetaMask, and then boom, they've like identified your Twitter handle. They know about all your Ethereum addresses. Same thing with Bitcoin. You'd ever done a Bitcoin transaction, and then they pull in your Twitter session, your cookie, and then they associate that with your Bitcoin address. And then if you've ever used Venmo or Cash App or whatever, and they're able to tell what Twitter handle you have, then they'll like stash that too. And then whenever they build a feature, like boom, everything that we've tracked about you, here's all your options. I mean, that's a very easy way to do it. I'm not saying that's what they are doing, but I know it's possible, and it's very plausible that that's what you're seeing here. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There are lots of videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And we just put out a new one yesterday. All right, make sure you go to the YouTube homepage, find that video, how to build a real-world blockchain application. All right, so if you like those videos and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master's shortcut entirely, I should become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.